Welcome to the second season of Dennis Archer's collegiate career. And after having good success, well, success is a strong word for what happened at Northwestern, I, Dennis Archer, not my real name, has transferred to Texas Tech for the 2025 college football season. And here's the big man himself. He's a bit of an improviser himself out of Asheville, North Carolina. And so far, after 1 year, I am up to an 81 after starting at about like a 76, I think, something like that. It was the 4 stars option. That's right, after having not fun at Northwestern and a lot of decision making, I have landed at Texas Tech, which the previous year they had a fantastic record, made it all the way to the national championship but lost to Georgia. So I want to come in here and hopefully stay in Texas for the rest of my career, hopefully win a couple more national championships. But first things first is a position battle between the current starting quarterback, who really should have started over me. He was a senior guy that led them to the national championship. Mind you, when I was going through the selection process, I had no idea that there was going to be a guy that was better than me. But no need to worry, I absolutely destroyed Baron Morton, winning all 3 mini games and easily sweeping the floor to win the starting job for the year. But then after skipping week 1 because we did not have a game, I got right into Colorado State week 1. And just knowing that we are number 4 in the country and they are unranked, I felt pretty good about starting off here. And at first it seemed like this confidence was absolutely warranted, as we had a really good drive getting all the way down to the 6, but unfortunately on 3rd and 2, I would throw an interception, so not a great start to Texas Tech. But then after 4 punts back to back by the Rams and by us, we would find ourselves in an ideal situation, 2nd and goal from the 8, where I would roll out and then break a tackle to get into the end zone for my first Texas Tech touchdown.
Well, that didn't necessarily...
And really from then on, all it took was for me getting started and we just stomped the Rams. We're talking 80-yard touchdown. Minute 30 left in the half, another touchdown. Then rolling to the left, right-handed throw for another touchdown.
Still looking. Touchdown, Red Raider!
And yeah, by the end of the game, it was 35-17. The Rams didn't have any business playing us. And I even wanted to give them a little bit more. So with 11 seconds left, I just ran all the way to the outside and ran it in for my 2nd rushing touchdown, for a total of 308 passing yards and 5 total touchdowns. And immediately after, I would get a text from Walker's Jiu-Jitsu for an NIL offer, which would give me 5 stiff arm for 6 weeks for only 2 energy up front, which I declined because I don't really need to stiff arm people. It's not really an important thing for me, and it's also 2 energy this week. But now in week 2, we have a much scarier matchup, as we do fall to number 5 in the nation, which I guess we didn't really do too much. We just kind of beat Colorado State, you know. Yeah, but now we have to face unranked Penn State. And you would normally think that in a number 5 in the nation versus unranked, it would be pretty easy, but they are 5 overalls better. And just a reminder, we're not that bad, so yeah, this is going to be a rough one. But however, it is my first home game in Texas Tech, and they got the stripes out, the white and red looking beautiful for a night game. And first drive, we weren't doing too poorly, but then on 4th and inches, on their 27, coach wanted us to go for it, and I threw the easy pass to number 9, he didn't even drop it, he didn't even look at it, and so, yeah, now we have to give it right back to Penn State. Which then after giving up a touchdown, we would find another favorable situation down in the red zone, but however, we would have to kick the field goal. And then for a while, we really couldn't get too much going as I was getting sacked a lot. Penn State, pretty good defensive line. But yeah, after giving up another 3rd down in, or at least close to the red zone, it was looking pretty bleak at 21-6 going into the 4th. And yeah, personally wasn't my best game, as we would lose in home to Penn State 31-12 to go to 1-1. And honestly, yeah, this was completely expected. I'm not too mad, but I mean, still, first home game, we really sell it that bad. But unfortunately, because Penn State was unranked, we do fall to 15. But we do have a mid, at best, Oregon State team up next. So hopefully we can get the dub here. Even though they did start out with a touchdown, by the end of the first quarter, it was 7-3. We wouldn't let it trip us up, and I would throw the nice easy drag for the touchdown to take the lead. And then from here, the only difficulties were technical difficulties, because my game kept showing, I don't know, it was weird. But yeah, we absolutely turned it on, making the score 24-7 into halftime before making it 31-13 going into the 4th quarter. And yeah, we were feeling pretty good.
Big tight end.
Then going right into the fourth quarter, they would score quickly, and then we would make it 4th and 11 with 6 minutes left, and they would immediately score a touchdown, making it 34-27, a one-score game since the first time in the first quarter. And by this point, we were still feeling confident, so we were running clock, getting down the field consistently. But my interception struggles have continued. I've cut out a lot of it because it's bad and we have a whole season to get through anyway. But I would throw a pick, giving them the ball back, up by 7 with 3:40 left. But our defense held them, giving us one more chance to close this game out, which is exactly what we would do for the next 2 minutes until I was able to take the QB kneel. 34-27. Wasn't the prettiest game, but we got it done. And the funniest part about this game, though, was that it was kind of like a revenge-ish game, as at Northwestern, I had the backup running back was Joseph Hyman, and he had transferred to Oregon State and played us here. And yeah, just a little funny thing that kind of happened there. But then once again, another NIL offer after another win from Vitalize Physiotherapy, and they were asking for me to, I guess, take some pictures of some me, I guess, but I will get a reduction of 4 points from both arms wear and tear, which I don't 100% know the wear and tear system, but I still accepted it because that sounds pretty good. Now going into the bye week, I could really spend some more energy on training, as I'm now up to 5 skill points. I spent 5 tokens, I don't know what they're called, on accuracy. They gave me a nice little boost up to an 88 overall. That is what we like to see. I'm pretty sure it's not actually, but yeah, 88 overall is what it shows me, so hell yeah. Now going into week 6, we are playing number 15 Kansas State. You're looking at the numbers, we're pretty even, so it should be a good Big 12 matchup. Now getting into Kansas State in Manhattan, we got a bit of a scary away game. Shouldn't be too bad though. Which unfortunately, after immediately throwing an interception, they go down and take the lead with the field goal. We'd then get it up into the red zone, but then it would be 4th and 13 and we'd have to kick the field goal, tying it back up at 3. But then after not exactly the most interesting brand of football, just a lot of matriculating and not a lot getting past the 50-yard line, we would be down 10-3 with 2 minutes left, but our defense would get a big stop, giving us the ball in good territory with 34 seconds left in the half, which after one pass and a timeout, I would roll out to my left and find A, unguarded, even though there was a man in the area, for a nice corner touchdown. But unfortunately, right out the gates, they would get the ball and take it down to score a touchdown. And I'm just going to be honest, for the rest of the game, our offense was not doing diddly darn shit. I threw a pick twice in the red zone. And then before you know it, it's a 2-score game with 3 minutes left in the fourth at 3rd and 32, and you can only imagine how that went. And yeah, Kansas State would take a field goal, and by the end of this game, I would be very frustrated in play calls, really in myself. But Texas Tech was not exactly becoming a fun place to play. But I still felt we were a really good team and absolutely had the chance to make the playoffs. I mean, before this game, we were number 12 in the nation, which probably would have made us a playoff team. But luckily for us, we would be playing another Big 12 team, but this time, it's the unranked Houston Cougars. And being honest, they're not that good. This also wasn't exactly the most interesting game by any means, as the most interesting thing to happen to us was easily Coach calling a terrible play call, a speed option on 3rd and 14 from our own 4, which ended up in a safety. Really mainly because by the end of the game it would be 52-23, and I would be benched in the 3rd quarter because I already had 316 yards and 3 touchdowns. So yeah, first conference win. Pretty dominant way to do it. Because next up we have the Arizona Sun Devils, who are unranked while we have finally moved up to 15. So I was expecting a big game, or hopefully a second straight Big 12 win. And little did I know that this would end up being one of the most stress-inducing, anger-inducing especially, games of my entire Madden/college playing career. But the game did start off a bit slow for both teams, as I would throw a pick, and our defense would be giving us horrible playing position for a long time until we were able to get it down into the red zone. Where, that's right, another interception. And by this point, it was 10-3 after being 3-0 for a long time, but the Sun Devils snuck ahead just before halftime. And after having a good 2-minute drill, getting it up pretty close to the end zone, I would throw a pick, but thank Jesus it was pass interference on them. But unfortunately, Coach would take me out to kick the field goal, which now is pretty fair, but at that point, I was pissed. And then coming out of the halftime, I would throw another interception. And I mean, for real, I was playing terribly for so long. This should have been at least like 28-6. I mean, our defense really kept us in here for as long as they could. And yeah, at this point, I had one of the craziest stat lines. I was 53 completion percentage, 245 yards, and 4 interceptions. And the frustration would just continue as I would pull a bit of a Dan Orlovsky. And yes, I managed to run out of the back of the end zone. I don't want to talk about it. But it would not be like that for long, especially with me throwing my 5th interception. And the Sun Devils once again doing absolutely nothing with it, giving us still a chance with 3 minutes left in the 4th. And as you know, as the saying goes, pressure creates diamonds, and that's exactly what happened here on a 70-yard touchdown pass, looking like Patrick Mahomes in that Texas Tech. But of course, the second that we do anything, the Sun Devils managed to take the lead. And back to one of the most miraculous plays I have ever done, and I mean ever.
They're going to throw it to start the drive. Stands in and takes the hit. Pulls it in. And he's running in the open. Touchdown, Red Raiders! They've got the...
That's right, we would take a lead with under a minute left. Can this go bad? Yes, this is college football 25, and we would end up losing to the Sun Devils as they would score with 11 seconds left to make it 23-20. And yeah, I may or may not have wanted to absolutely scream my guts out after this one. This was painful. This is pretty painful. But yeah, after finally falling out of the rankings, which probably was a bit overdue, as I was just dragging this Texas Tech program into the ground. But we would have a bit of a rivalry up next week in Week 9, the Oklahoma State-Texas Tech rivalry. And it certainly feels good to be back at home for an all-whiteout, even though we are wearing all black and Oklahoma State is wearing all white, and oh shit, I already fumbled the ball away. Well, that's awesome to start 7-0. But don't worry, on 2nd and 21, I throw an absolute dime to make it 3rd and 2, which then coach obviously blows it up because it's really not good. But then our defense holds the Cowboys, which allows us to matriculate the ball all the way down to the 30 so that I can throw a perfect interception. Just elite stuff by me. And yeah, interceptions, a very consistent struggle in Texas Tech. We would wake up coming out of the first quarter, and I would immediately throw a good pass to Coy Eakin for the touchdown to tie it up. And I actually found this while editing this video, but basically when I was looking through, I did not know this, but Coy Eakin was 4th in voting for the Heisman last year. But after giving me enough motivation with a field goal, I would immediately throw a 63-yard touchdown pass right out of the gates to take the lead right back. But then coming out of halftime, they would take the lead right back, making it 14-17. We would march the ball down the field before getting stopped to tie it up with the field goal. And trust me when I say this, after this point, our defense just would not allow them to score, and we turned into an absolute machine as we ended the day 34-17, making us 4-3 and giving me the player of the game with 324 yards, 75 completion percentage, and 4 touchdowns. Where I would then immediately get another NIL offer, which I promptly declined. But now going into UCF with a bit of momentum and the mindset of we have to win out from now on if we want to make the Big 12 championship or the college football playoffs at all, we completely shit the bed. I mean, we kept it close, but we literally never had a lead in this game. I had some nice plays, but by the end of the game, we had a game-winning opportunity, which I finally opened guide, but it wasn't close enough, and we would end up losing 29-24. And yeah, it was games like these where coach was just terrible. I was never the best, you know. I had 4 interceptions, but I mean, I kept it close. So after a heartbreaker in week 10, we go into week 11 against BYU. We're currently 5-3 and 3-2 in the Big 12, and luckily for us, it is back at home. And let me tell you what, this was quite the doozy. I mean, it didn't start too well. We started 7-3 against BYU, losing. But I mean, eventually our defense would turn on. Our offense would go into full gear, and we would quickly make the score 24-7. But then they quickly scored a touchdown to put the pressure on us. So at halftime, it was 27-14, and I was feeling really confident that no matter what happened, we were going to win, which was a terrible mindset, because I would immediately throw a pick and they would make it 21-27, but we would keep that exact score all the way into the 4th quarter, so I was still feeling good, but coach was just having a bad day, as after the defense put our offense in really bad positions, we couldn't get anything going, just absolutely solid, as they would take the lead 28-27 to put the pressure on us. I would then throw a pick, they would score a touchdown, and then we would turn it over on 4th and 10, and I finished with 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 355 yards. I mean, I would get another NIL offer, which I immediately declined. So now, going into our big game, another game in the Big 12 against West Virginia. We're 4-5, 2-4 in the conference, not good. They're better, and by the numbers, we're pretty even, so hopefully we can pull it out against the Mountaineers in West Virginia. And to start out the game, we had a really nice drive, which ended with me getting strip sacked for the fumble and the turnover. No need to worry, as our defense is goated and didn't let up any points, which we were able to capitalize on by throwing an interception in the red zone. So that's nice, 2 drives down the drain with 2 turnovers. But then after getting it back into the red zone, I roll out to the left and throw a nice easy drag for the touchdown to take the lead. Then the next drive I would find a wide open receiver where he would have a massive run after catch all the way into the end zone to make it 14-3. But in typical college football fashion, the second we do anything good, the Mountaineers do the exact same thing to make it a close game. But once again, no need to worry, as on 1st and 10 with 17 seconds left in the half, I would roll out, no defenders in the area, and get an easy touchdown to make an even bigger lead, 21-10. And it seemed like our offense was finally becoming what it really should have been from the start. But after trading punts and getting a field goal, I would throw another interception. Common theme, I've been cutting a lot of them out because it's bad. But this one was special because it was returned for a touchdown as I completely whiffed on the tackle. For the next drive, I found a wide open tight end just up the seam, completely unguarded on the RPO, for an easy touchdown to really, hopefully, just try to put this game away. But once again, West Virginia scored immediately, putting the pressure on us to fully lock this game away, which we couldn't do, and they would get another field goal. Then we drove down and were only able to get a field goal, and then they made it a 3-point game, but thank God they didn't get the onside kick, so we survived barely. 34-31. I had a good game ignoring the picks with 4 touchdowns, 351 yards, and I'm really turning him into a Josh Allen type, a lot of interceptions, but a lot of touchdowns and a lot of yards. It's honestly been more agonizing than Northwestern because we should be good. Northwestern, I was never expecting to win, and at this point I had gotten really, really tired of coach, the players selling. I was never playing that great, but in my mind, it was the coach. And by week 13, all of this anger and frustration and everything really started to boil over going into Utah to play the Utes. And for a long time, it was really boring. I wasn't playing that well. Utah wasn't playing that well. The defenses had a great game this game, as through all 4 quarters, it was tied up 14-14, meaning I was able to play in my first, I don't remember this shit, college football overtime. And unfortunately, they were able to get the ball first. Within 2 plays, they immediately capitalized on getting the touchdown, put the pressure on us from our own 25, hopefully tie it up, which didn't start off too well with me having to run back nearly to the 50-yard line and throw the ball away. But I still wasn't too worried, as on 2nd and 10, I was able to throw the nice easy drag to make it 3rd and 2, which we were able to convert on the nice easy curl. But now with 1st and goal, and all of the pressure in the world, it was a close one. It was a real close one. Football gods looked down on me and gave me a little bit of pity to see what I could do with it. But they did not look down on my offense lineman, as I was immediately sacked to make it 3rd and goal from our own 20. I would then throw a good pass, but it was good defense, and it would be incomplete, leading to 4th and goal, our last chance to win this game against the Utes. Coach calls all goes, one of his classics. But this time it really mattered, as I dropped back, as I saw in the corner of my eye, B had basically beaten his corner. I threw it up, he was open, he made the adjustment, I threw a perfect pass, and the defense made a good play, and we lost. Really unfortunate, and at this point, I just hated Texas Tech, and especially my coach. This was a real heartbreaker. But now, at the last game of the season, the regular season, I have been very, very frustrated, and I don't know if I'm going to stay at Texas Tech anymore. Maybe not even for another year. It's just super uncertain at this point. Although deep down, I do know that I took a championship team and made them 5-6. So after doing my training for week 14, I chose to not play in the Kansas game. Really frustrated. Luckily though, we did end up winning, so I guess that's good to get us to 6-6 to finish out the season. And now at the end of the year, my stat line it's an interesting one. It's definitely a Josh Allen-esque. I had 4,177 yards, the 60 completion percentage, a 142 passer rating, which isn't awful, but now I did have 31 touchdowns and 29 interceptions, nearly pulled a good old Jameis Winston. And at this point, I have already been searching for what my next school could potentially be. Now, obviously, we missed out on the Big 12 championship game, that ended up being UCF and Kansas State, 2 teams that we did lose to. We're now both ranked, and Kansas State is actually number 3 in the nation. Crazy. Then after simulating past the conference championship games and seeing Miller Moss won the Heisman Trophy for USC, it was announced that we will be playing Louisville in the Pop-Tarts Bowl down in Orlando at Camping World Stadium. Now, this was a huge surprise to me, and for me personally, it was absolutely what was going to be a big factor in deciding if I was going to stay at Texas Tech or not, but I was still excited for a bowl game either way. Cardinals are 7-5, so record-wise slightly better, and overall just about the same. And I really wasn't playing with a lot of pressure because I knew that if I lost, I don't really care because I'm probably not going to be here anyway, which was definitely a good relief. As on the first drive, after slinging it all the way down to the 1-yard line, I handed it off, and my guy got right into the end zone to take the early lead. But then after punting for a little while, our defense still held tight at not letting the Cardinals score at all going into the second quarter, where I would then throw a nice little out route to my tight end, who would find the edge and get into the end zone. Unfortunately, though, the Cardinals would score and we would have to punt on the next drive, but our defense would still hold strong, but we didn't manage to do anything going into halftime. Louisville started with the ball and got a field goal to make it a 4-point game, and then we punted and got the ball at the 7. Not great, but our defense would get us the ball in pretty good field position, so we were then able to get it all the way up to the 1, where we would be stopped on 3rd and goal, but our coach wants us to go for it to take the 2-score lead, and that's exactly what I did on the RPO, right in between 2 defenders, thread the needle to get it to our guy, make it 21-13. Where at this point we were literally just draining clock, which previously has been a terrible method in this situation. We were able to whittle it down to 40 seconds, where on 4th and 1, once again, Coach wanted us to go for it to fully seal it. I had never seen this out of Coach. It was fantastic. But unfortunately, I found the wide open tight end, and yeah, he kind of got ran into by our own receiver and wasn't able to catch the ball. It wasn't the best pass, but still super catchable. So we gave Louisville the ball with 37 seconds left, but our defense still held strong, getting a sack to finish out the season with a bowl game dub, which was certainly a nice way to end 2025. But after Charlotte nearly made it to the national championship, I knew I had some decision making to do going into next season. But I guess you're gonna have to wait and find out where I end up going, if I'm gonna stay at Texas Tech, if I'm gonna go to a big school, little school, what I'm gonna do. You're gonna have to wait for, I don't know, probably like a week or 2 for that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you like this new format. It definitely, I think, works better. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya.